Welcome to the Activated Story Theater's 117th podcast.
This episode, we bring you the story of the cherry blossoms, a story from Japan.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly.
And together we are the Activated Actors.
We are coming to you from Vacaville, California.
About 30-40 miles from San Francisco.
Where we've got some shows coming up. We just celebrated National Library Week, had a lot of fun at the libraries. And now we have some more shows coming up, public shows in San Leandro, Belvedere, Tiburon. We've done a lot since we last spoke with you. We were in Arkansas last time we podcast.
Yeah, most of what we've done has involved animals.
Well, we took the scenic route too, from Arkansas all the way to Arizona. I actually did little backroads in California as well. We try to avoid the freeway as much as possible as we traveled about 2,000 miles on the off-roads and saw a lot of interesting sights.
We went horseback riding for the first time in years.
Yes, we did that in Oklahoma.
Yeah, for the first time since we've known each other.
Yeah, we were talking about it. We'd both been horseback riding before, but it was before we had our company, before we were married, and then we realized that our son grew up and never went horseback riding.
Yes, how sad.
Sorry, Zephyr. But yeah, we had some fun doing that. And what else have we done?
Well, we got stuck in the mud.
Yeah, I didn't really mean to do that. We were driving the back roads. We ended up on old Route 66 and didn't realize that part of it was unpaved. It was really bizarre because we pulled into Albuquerque, New Mexico. When we pulled in, it was hot and sunny and 80 degrees. And 2 days later when we left, it was snowing. And that snow turned some of the dirt road into mud and slush, and we weren't the only ones sliding all over this road. We ended up stuck, and as we were stuck there, we saw a couple other 4x4s go skidding through there as well. It was really difficult to drive on.
And we managed to get out without any assistance, though.
Well, we had a little assistance, but didn't have physical assistance, but I did have to call people and say, hey, look on the internet and see if we can keep going this road. Give me a satellite image. And a big thanks to our friend Bob Mueller who helped bail us out of that one. He was able to get online and look at the road that we were on and see that, yes, it did look like it was blacktop for the rest of the way, because otherwise we'd have to turn around and go back through the mud. So
isn't all the technology great? When we first started out on the road, we would get stuck like that, and oh boy. It was a nightmare getting out. Now we get on our cell phone, instead of walking a mile to a phone, we get on our cell phone, call someone, have them look up online where we are, see a satellite image, and tell us where to go.
I love it, because ironically, the people that did pass us on the road that we stopped and asked about it, they said, oh, it's just as bad if you keep on going. Well, it wasn't. So even the locals don't know the road. So thank you, satellite images.
And that was in New Mexico. And
yes.
in New Mexico, we also toured Abo, which is an old mission.
Yes.
A mission built about 400 years ago.
By Franciscan missionaries.
And the ruins of that still stand. It was built next to a much older pueblo. And there's really nothing left of the pueblos now but a pile of rubble.
Right.
They are still excavating there. They are finding shards and all kinds of things there. Kind of fascinating to see this old monastery and read up about and see the illustrations of the way it used to look and how it used to operate.
So they're still finding all kinds of artifacts there. Also passed through the Zuni tribe, and we have a favorite story, the Coyote and the Eagles, one of our classic stories. If you know us, you've probably seen or heard the story of the Coyote and Eagle. And
you mean we passed through the Zuni Pueblo? We didn't run through the tribe.
Oh, I didn't go through the tribe. Sorry. We went through the Pueblo, yes.
We didn't run over anyone.
No, we did not. So that was New Mexico, and then Oklahoma, and
yes, and we've been dodging storms the whole way from Alabama to California.
Well, yeah.
Pretty much. Another stop we made that involved animals was Oatman, Arizona.
And it was if you've been there, you know what's coming, but for us, it was unexpected. We had no idea. We ended up on a road we really didn't even want to end up on. It was a beautiful drive, though. We had a gorgeous drive through just north of 40, and we ended up in Oatman, Arizona. And as we pull into town, I see a stagecoach coming at me. 6 horses pulling a stagecoach. I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And so we found a place to park. But before we did, we're going through town, and we had to dodge and drive around burros that were just roaming free throughout the town.
Yes, now Oatman has a history as a mining town. About 100 years ago, gold was discovered there, and these miners, of course, would use burros, and then when the mines played out, they just abandoned the burros, and so they went out and bred new burros, and so these wild burros you see today are descendants of those, and the townspeople have kind of adopted them. As one person said, when I come to work in the morning, I see them coming to work from the desert.
Yeah, nobody owns them. They're not captured, they're nobody's pets or anything. They just do roam free, but you can buy food for them in town there, and they're encouraged. It's a great tourist attraction.
Yes, and there is an old hotel there, the Oatman Hotel, where you go, and by the way, this hotel was where Clark Gable and Carol Lombard spent one of their honeymoon nights way back in the 30s. Oh. But you go in there in the lobby where they have the restaurant, and the walls and ceilings are just covered with dollar bills.
Yes, there were dollar bills everywhere. People sign and leave dollar bills. Really weird.
Thousands of them.
Yeah, that was interesting too. Very fascinating town. No Walmart in town. No big box stores. Well, no McDonald's.
The town only has a population of maybe 150. A very small town. I mean, it's about 2 blocks and that's it.
Yeah.
But the tourists far outnumber the residents. You get hundreds of tourists there on any given day.
It's a fun place to be. They do say it gets really, really hot in the summer, though. In fact, they have an egg frying event. They go out and fry eggs on the sidewalk. It is so hot, so you might want to go there in March or another time of year, not in the summer.
Yeah, it was pleasant when we were there.
Yeah, beautiful view through there, and then we got to California, and we did something else that was pretty special.
Oh, something else involving animals.
We did. We had a lot of animals this trip.
This time it was ostriches, ostrichi.
Ostriches.
Ostriches yes, ostriches is the plural. But there's an ostrich farm near Tehachapi. Mm-hmm. And Tehachapi is best known as a railroad town. And in fact, it's famous for a loop. There's a loop the track takes where the train loops around itself.
Around itself, right.
But also near there are many other things. There are vineyards and monasteries and that kind of thing.
Right.
But there's this ostrich farm.
We went to visit the ostriches. And we met the people who run it and had a great tour and got to feed the ostriches, and that was a lot of fun.
And they have one ostrich that's been used quite a bit in movies.
He's famous. Yes. He was on Fear Factor, and he's done a lot of different movies.
He's a Hollywood star because Tehachapi is not far from Los Angeles, so whenever they have a need for an ostrich, they contact this farm, and this, I forget what the ostrich's name is. It's something like Oscar or Ernie, or thinking it's some Sesame Street name. I'm not sure.
I don't remember, but he's famous, and we got to see him. So we are now in the San Francisco Bay Area, Sacramento Valley area doing shows. And after this brief message about our sponsor, we have a story.
Hey, did you know you can hear activated stories while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio?
Stitcher is a free news and talk mobile app available for your smartphone. Just find Stitcher in the App Store. Then, during registration, hit the promo code box and enter Storytellers to get automatically entered to win $100.
Whoa! You'll get access to lots of other amazing shows too. Always available to you on demand, no syncing. It's Stitcher Smart Radio.
And don't forget to enter the promo code Storytellers when you register. All right, we chose this story because it is cherry blossom time. That's the other thing we enjoyed as we drove across the country, is seeing lots of blossoming trees, pear blossoms, and all kinds of blossoms. Well, it's also cherry blossom time, and it's especially celebrated in Japan. So we bring you the story of the cherry blossoms from Japan. Long, long ago in Japan, there lived a kindly husband and wife and their dog, whom they greatly loved. And their dog loved them. But their neighbors were a mean old man and woman who did not love the dog. And the dog did not love them. Every time they saw him, they would throw stones at him.
Hey-ya!
One day, the dog was barking very loudly. And the kindly man went out to see what he wanted.
Here, boy, why are you putting up such a fuss? Why are you digging there? Oh, you want me to help you dig? Okay, but not with my paws. Let me get my shovel here. Okay, here we go. What's this? My shovel struck something. What? It looks like gold. Something tells me this is not dog food. It's really gold nuggets. Did you know they were here? You're definitely better than a dowsing rod, even if you do eat more.
And the kindly man took the gold into the house and showed it to his kindly wife. "Oh dear, you really dug this out of the ground? Whatever did we plant to grow these?" Meanwhile, the mean old neighbors had seen what had happened.
So, their dog can sniff out gold, eh? Well, we could use a mutt like that around here. Let me just grab my shovel. Here, boy. Come here, boy. Now then, come over to my yard and show me where to dig. There? Very well, I'll try digging there. I really don't think there's anything there, but, hey! My shovel did strike something. What do we have here? Ah! It's garbage! Pew!
And he was so angry at not finding gold that he killed the dog and buried it in the woods. The kindly old man and woman looked everywhere for their dog, but of course they couldn't find him. "Have you seen our dog anywhere?"
No, I haven't seen your stupid dog, and I hope I never see it again.
Well, the kindly couple was very sad that their dog was missing. One day, the kindly old man was out walking through the woods when he came to a big, beautiful pine tree, which happened to be growing on the spot where the dog had been buried. It would have been a fir tree, but that pun doesn't really work in Japanese.
Wow, what a beautiful tree. It's funny, I've never seen it before. I've walked by here many times. Somehow, this tree reminds me of my poor missing dog. What was that? How strange. I would say that you're supposed to see a tree's bark and not hear it, but that pun doesn't really work in Japanese.
Just then, a huge branch fell from the tree and landed right in front of him.
How odd. It's like that tree wanted me to have this branch. It must be a sign for my poor missing dog. I thought so. I guess I better take this branch home.
So he took the branch home to his wife.
Look what I found in the forest, dear.
You found a pine branch in the forest. Imagine that. Dear, I don't mean to criticize your detective skills, but maybe you should try branching out a little.
No, you don't understand. It fell off the tree right in front of me. I think it's a sign from our poor missing dog.
Because we've been pining for him? Even though that doesn't really work in Japanese. But if it is a sign from dog, then maybe we should do something important with it.
Maybe I could make something out of it, but what?
Well, I could use a mortar and pestle to grind up rice into rice cakes. So, that's what the kindly man made. And when his kindly wife began grinding up the rice, how odd! When I grind the rice, it turns shiny. In fact, it turned into gold. She was right. Every time she ground the rice in the pine mortar, the rice would turn to gold. That made it hard to make rice cakes, but at least with the gold they could buy rice cakes, and they were able to buy a lot of other things they needed too. But then the mean old man next door noticed that they had a lot of new things, and so he would go sneak up and peek into their window to see what was going on.
Aha, so that's it. The old grinding rice into gold with a magic mortar trick. Well, if it works for them, it should work for me.
Yes. Oh, greetings, neighbor.
Yeah. Listen, we have company coming later, and my wife wants to make some rice cakes for them, but our mortar is in the shop being repaired. Could we borrow yours for a little while?
Well, you see...
Come on, just for a little while, and we'll give it right back. please, these are very important guests we have coming.
Oh, very well. I suppose I'll be a good neighbor and let you borrow it. But this mortar is very special to me. Please be sure to return it when you're finished.
Yeah.
So the mean neighbor took the mortar to his mean wife, and she eagerly began grinding rice with it. Now, we're going to get our own share of gold. It's working! It's working! The rice is changing into horse manure! Horse manure?
I'm sensing a pattern here. So they think they got the best of us again, eh? Well, we'll see about that. Give me that mortar.
What are you going to do?
I'm throwing it into the fire. We'll turn their pine mortar into an ash mortar. Get it?
Get what?
An ash is another kind of tree.
Oh, dear. You're adorable when you destroy things and make bad puns. So, they burned up the mortar, and the mean husband carried the ashes back to his neighbors next door.
Here you go. Here's your mortar back.
Our mortar? But this is just ash. I don't get it.
My wife didn't either. Look, it accidentally fell off the table and into the fireplace across the room, and it burned up before we noticed. Sorry, things like that happened. Have a nice day.
Oh, no. Dear. Oh, come here, dear.
Yes, what is it?
Oh, our neighbors brought back our mortar. No!
There. Why are you so upset? Oh, is this our mortar? This pile of ash? My, but they must have ground their rice really fast for it to catch on fire. Well, look, I'm sure it was an accident. Our neighbors surely wouldn't destroy anything that belongs to us on purpose.
Oh, I know. But first it was the dog gone, and now we're mortar fried.
Yeah, there must be something in the air. Well, at least I will still use the ashes of the mortar to honor our lost dog. I will take the ashes into the garden and sprinkle them around the trees. The dog really loved trees, you know.
So he did sprinkle the ashes around the trees. And the next morning, he looked out and saw...
Oh dear, come and look out the window. The cherry trees have all blossomed.
Oh, come off it, dear. It's too early in the year for cherry trees to blossom, especially when we don't have any.
But we do have some now. After I sprinkled the ashes on those trees, they blossomed overnight. Those are powerful ashes.
Not only did cherry blossoms blossom, but they were the most beautiful blossoms anyone had ever seen. And soon, word of them spread to the prince, who loved cherry blossoms. When he heard how beautiful they were, he came to see for himself.
Yoo-hoo! Anybody home? Yes, what may I do for you? I am the prince.
Oh, your majesty. Oh, how embarrassing. Oh, the place is such a mess.
Nonsense. Those kindly cherry blossoms beautify everything around them. They are purely magical. I suppose you're right. Even our neighbors have been nice to us lately.
It's true.
I have been trying for years to grow such blossoms. How long did it take you to perfect them?
About 12 hours, I guess.
12 hours? This is most wondrous indeed. If you and your husband will come to the palace and help me grow my own cherry blossoms this beautiful, I will reward you so that you never shall want for anything again. Oh, well, I suppose we could do that, couldn't we, dear?
Certainly. We still have some ashes left. I mean, we could do the same thing for your trees that we did for ours.
Splendid. Then start packing and let us be off.
So they did, and soon the prince also had magnificent cherry blossoms, and he was so proud of them that he decided to have a cherry blossom festival every spring, and the people of Japan have done so ever since.
And that's the story of the cherry blossoms from Japan. Okay, so...
I hope they didn't get stuck in the mud on the way to their palace.
No, I hope not. So it is pretty much cherry blossom time now. Actually, in Japan, they celebrate cherry festival viewing, or hanami as they call it, at different times.
Well, it coincides with when the cherry blossoms actually blossom,
right.
and they follow it across the country. They actually have news updates as the blossoms come to bloom.
Depending on where in the country you live, it could be anywhere from January to May. Here in the U.S., cherry blossom festivals are held at a more consistent time. They're usually end of March, early April, pretty much around the beginning of spring or right after the beginning of spring.
Well, what if the cherry blossoms haven't blossomed yet?
Oh, too bad. But that pretty much got started about 100 years ago when some cherry blossom trees were brought over from Japan to Washington, D.C. in that area.
Yeah.
And so they started having a cherry blossom festival in D.C., and now a lot of other U.S. cities have them as well, including San Francisco. They have a big one there in Japantown. But we have seen more cherry blossoms this year than any other time.
It has been an incredible year for cherry blossoms, and I believe they're pear blossoms and all kinds of flowers I've been noticing as we've been driving across the country. So hopefully you've got some cherry blossoms or other kinds of trees blossoming near you.
Hope so.
And if you're in the Northern California area, we'd like to invite you to some shows. We have a public show coming up at the San Leandro Library on April 18th, and that will be at 7 o'clock. The next day, there is a show at the Riverbank Library, 4 o'clock on that program. And the following week, we have a show on April 26th at 4 o'clock. We're going to be back at the Belvedere Tiburon Library. And then May 1st, we will have our final show for this program. This will be the final program for World Tales, and that will be at the Fairfield Cordelia Library at 3:30. We'll put a link to all of our shows in our show notes, and get ready for the summer. See if we are coming to a library near you. We have libraries scheduled all the way from New Mexico to Massachusetts for summer reading programs. We hope to see you this summer, if not this April.
Well, keep on blooming, and we'll see you next time.
We'll bring you another story next month.
Hee-haw!
Activated Story Theater is committed to bringing fun, educational shows to schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use physical comedy, American Sign Language, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring multicultural folktales to life. For booking information, check out our website, activatedstorytheater.com, where you can also find out when the activated actors will be performing near you. Read a story, or order one of our audio CDs. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or listen on Stitcher. We look forward to your comments and folktale suggestions. Stay activated. Until next time.